bittersweet moments because it is the last book signing at Village Books. But it is wonderful to have Sugar Ray Leonard here, who is the new mayor of Pacific Palisades. So, if you have anything you need help with,
my left jab.
So, and just I think we're going to come back later on and talk a little bit more about the bookstore, but I just want everyone to know our website will continue, CaliVillageBooks.com. So please continue to use that and to check if you don't have your email, you want to get it, because we'll still have some author events here in the Palisades. And so now I'm going to turn the floor over to Michael, who's the co-writer of this book, and he's also written several books. You've been here, what, 2 or 3 times on your own. And I'll let you further introduce Sugar Ray and talk about the book.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. First of all, I want to thank everybody for coming tonight. Thank you all for coming tonight. It is, as Katie said, it's a very bittersweet occasion, obviously. It's impossible to separate the excitement of this event and the knowledge of the end of a really tremendous bookstore here in the community. I mean, it's terrible to think of what's happened to bookstores around this country with Kindle, with ebooks, everything, and to see a great store like this in a great community like this go out, not be functioning anymore is something I can't even really talk about without getting extremely upset, and I know a lot of you feel the same way. But before we talk about the book a little bit, it's funny, it's a book about boxing and a book about a man's incredible life, and so much of the book is about men, but I want to start out just talking about a few women that have to be mentioned, have to be honored, really. I think tonight about 2 women that my wife and I lost in the last few years. One of them is my mother, and one of them is her mother. And they both, my mother passed before I started working on this book, and I know how much she would have loved to hear all the stories about Ray and hear about this process. And I think about her tonight, and I think about how much she would have enjoyed this evening as well. And Pauletta's mom, who died about a year ago, who was involved and knew about this process, knew about the book, and asked questions all the time, even as she got sick. I couldn't even hear her that well, but she wanted to know, how's the book coming, how's the book coming? And she was a writer herself, and so it was great to share that with her, and I wish she was here tonight. The other women I want to mention, one of them, is Bern here? I don't see her.
She's always me.
I want to thank Ray's wife, Bernadette, who opened her house and her heart to me for almost 2 years. It was really an amazing thing. I know there were times she's wondering, when are you guys going to be done? And I know we both wondered that many times, but she was gracious, kind, supportive every step of the way. I will always appreciate that. The other woman I want to honor tonight, I don't even know if I'm capable of describing how much I appreciate the help and the support and the understanding she's given to me, not just in this book, but in every book I've done. And that's my wife, Pauletta Walsh, who's standing right here. Working on a book can mean a change in personality, a change in behavior, and she understood that so well, and I'm very grateful for that. I want to talk a little bit about this man right here. When we first started back in the spring of 2009, it's really difficult to talk about a man's life and try to go over every detail over and over and try to really understand what he's about and try to help him also understand the story, because it's not always that clear. There's so many dimensions to it, and it takes time to really get to the heart of it. We would talk for maybe an hour about stuff that didn't seem to go anywhere. It'd be trivial. It would talk about this fight, but I didn't see really where it made any sense in the narrative. And then all of a sudden, we would hit this magical spot for about a half hour where it was just like the door opened wide and all these revelations and all this introspection about his life poured out in a way that, I mean, at that moment, you don't want any interruption. You want it to go on and it doesn't go on forever. It probably goes on for a half hour, something like that. But in those half hours is what this book is about. It's about a collection of half hours of tremendous analysis on his part on what his life has meant and what he hopes to go, where he hopes to go from here. One day I'll never forget. I know people probably read about the revelations of sexual abuse in this book, and when Ray and I first talked about it, it definitely blew me away. But he didn't go into that much detail. It was frustrating to me because as a writer, I always want, give me more detail, let's go deeper. And he wasn't really going there. And, you know, it fit a certain part of the story, but it wasn't, I didn't see where it was going to go and what we were going to do with it. And then one day, he just started opening up a little bit more about it. We went upstairs to his gym, and on TV was an interview that Todd Bridges had done with Oprah about his revelations about sexual abuse. And he got very emotional, and I got very emotional, and I'm thinking, even now, thinking about it. And I don't know what to say about it. It was just amazing. And I think the honesty you showed in that was, I mean, carried over for the rest of the book too. And I think it's been, people have been touched by it. People have read about it. People at signings have come up to you. People have called you. And it's meant so much. And I thank you for that openness. And I turn it over to you for a little while to...
Thank you, Michael. I don't really know how to start because this book has been cathartic, therapeutic. It has been an amazing tool that allowed me to come to grips with myself of who I really am. It took a while because, and I guess mostly the men can understand where I'm coming from. It's very difficult to talk about your flaws or your character defects or what you didn't do right. And almost 5 years ago, I met some guys in a room. And these men showed me a better way of living my life. You know, the thing about the book is that it really, I become so transparent. I let it all out. And that's what Michael was referring to. Because the first time we talked about the sexual abuse, I gave him, I spoke as a publicist. I was protecting Sugar Ray. But in doing that, and that's why I'm where that's how I got to where I was. I was always that guy, that person. I mean, Sugar Ray is not a bad guy. Not a question about that. He's not. He pays rent. But there was a confusion of Sugar Ray and Ray, because who's standing in front of you right now is Ray Leonard. I mean, the mayor. But what I was able to let not just this room, this bookstore, I told the world what happened to me when I was 14, 15 years of age. That was the most difficult thing I've ever done in my life, besides dancing. I know what this book has done for me, because normally I'll be a mess, I'll be in tears, because I'm getting stronger or more confident about who I am. And because of the book, I've had guys in suits, dressed to a T. I've gotten guys who come to me with beer bellies, guys who come to me with tattoos, old, young, and they give me a hug, and they share a tear, and they say, thanks for telling my story. So this book means more to me than just a book per se. That book is my life. And as Mike referred to my wife, Bernadette, who is still not here, it was my wife who allowed me to, I mean, because if you think about it, the things that I talk about in this book is not, because she felt that, our kids go to school here, and you have friends here, and they're going to see you differently. And I said, baby, you know what? It's not about anyone. It's about me. It's about freeing myself. And doing this book also, I recall that my parents and my siblings, they didn't want me to be up front with this book. I was being too open about my life. And they said, why are you doing this? Why? I said, because I was dying inside for 30 years. For 30 years. Because you see me and I'm smiling. But that's, and sometimes the smile was real. It was real. When I saw you guys, I was real. But deep down inside, I was dying. I was really dying. And if I had not made that amazing journey into that room with my guys, if I had not had the courage to reveal to you what I've told to the world, I would not be standing here now. So what I tell the people who interview me is that this is not a sad story. This is not a tragedy. My life is not a tragedy. It's not a sad story. I've had an illustrious boxing career, a wonderful career. I mean, from having dinner with Nelson Mandela to playing golf with President Clinton, to beat Mike on the golf course.
I'll tell you the truth later.
I've done these things. I have a wonderful family. I have a daughter who's getting too big too soon. My gifted athlete son, Daniel. I have two older sons, Ray Jr., Little Ray, we call him Little Ray, but he's 37. And Jarrell, who's 27. I'm trying to really reconnect with my kids, rebond with my kids, make that connection with my kids, because I wasn't, back in the day, my first wife, who also, the book is really almost about her. My wife said that. She said the book is really about my amends to Juanita, to apologize to her, because she was a beautiful woman. She's a wonderful woman. She raised my two older kids, and I just wasn't in a position or had knowledge or had the ability or tools to be a good father. And that's what I'm trying to be now. I'm trying to be a good friend, and I'm trying to be of service. So this book tells everything about me. Thank you so much.